Welcome to Miss Mojo, and today we're exploring the most notorious incidents when works of entertainment, art, and more were censored or banned within the United States of America.
The American Library Association says it tracked nearly 1,600 book challenges or removals last year, the most ever recorded.
The works of William Shakespeare, 16th and 17th centuries.
To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune.
Considered one of the most influential English writers in history, Shakespeare's plays and sonnets have been taught in schools for centuries. For some, his Old English poetic style is hard to understand. For others, apparently, it's filled with smut.
Come, come, you wasp, i' faith you are too angry.
If I be waspish, best beware my sting.
My remedy, then, is to pluck it out.
Aye, if the fool could find where it lies.
Who knows not where a wasp doth wear his sting? In his tail.
In his tongue.
Whose tongue?
Yours, if you talk of tails, and so, farewell.
With the 2022 introduction of the Florida Parental Rights and Education Act, better known as the Don't Say Gay bill, this allowed the state schools to censor the raunchier aspects of the bard's works. Instead of whole texts being taught, only extracts would be used. This, understandably, sparked fears among teachers as large portions of context and history would be swept under the literary carpet. Yet this wasn't the first time Shakespeare's works were under fire. In 2014, they were banned from Texan prisons.
For I am all the subjects that you have, which first was mine own king. For here you tie me in this hard rock, whilst you do keep from me the rest of the island.
The one with the lesbian wedding. Friends.
I've got some news. It's about us.
Oh, you and me?
No, Susan and me.
The other us.
In 1996, the TV landscape changed forever. After ABC aired an episode of Roseanne, which showed a same-sex marriage, Friends followed suit with the nuptials between Carol and Susan.
You know, nothing makes God happier than when two people, any two people, come together in love. Friends, family, we're gathered here today to join Carol and Susan in holy matrimony.
While history tends to focus on the positives, that wasn't the full story. The actors Jane Sibbett and Jessica Hecht even stated later that they couldn't kiss during the ceremony. Yet that wasn't enough for some who wanted the mere thought of women marrying erased.
My parents called this afternoon to say they weren't coming.
Oh my God.
I mean, I knew they were having trouble with this whole thing, but they're my parents. I mean, they're supposed to give me away and everything.
Two TV stations, KJAC-TV in Port Arthur, Texas, and WLIO in Lima, Ohio, weren't happy. They claimed the episode didn't meet the standards of good taste in their communities, so they refused to air it. This action was condemned by the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation.
Look, do you love her? And you don't have to be too emphatic about this.
Of course I do.
Well, then that's it. And if George and Adelaide can't accept that, then the hell with them.
If You Seek Amy, Britney Spears.
I just wanna go to the party, she gon' go. Can somebody take me home? Ha ha he ha ha.
Puns may sometimes be met with groans, but they've been used for centuries, including by William Shakespeare. Yet when Spears did one for her 2009 single If You Seek Amy, some moms and parents groups were livid.
Parents are outraged and are pushing to get this thing yanked or at least limited to after 10 p.m. when profane songs are allowed to be played. But do they have a case?
The controversy stems from the title and lyrics, which, if spoken slowly, bear a resemblance to a phrase about adult intimacy. Radio stations in the US began editing the song by bleeping the expression and even changing its title to If You See Amy. The Parents Television Council threatened stations with indecency complaints for playing the track during the day. As such, Spears created a radio edit of the tune. However, during her tours, the original risque version would return. Super Mario Kart. Sometimes it's not governments or activist groups causing censorship of material. Sometimes it's another branch of the same company doing it.
You know what? What do they know, huh?
It's not just them.
Our whole lives, everyone's telling us we can't do this, we can't do that.
In the Japanese release of 1992's Super Mario Kart, Bowser and Peach celebrated winning races by drinking from champagne bottles, while Donkey Kong Jr. recklessly threw his around. When it was released in the US, Nintendo of America changed it to make the characters not drink or be as dangerous with the bottles. At the time, the company had heavy rules in place to avoid issues during localization.
Mario, you saved my life.
Yeah, well, I won't tell anyone.
Good, please don't.
Another classic video game censoring was 1985's Ice Climbers. In Japan, the characters would beat up seals. However, due to the controversial practice of seal clubbing in the US, they were changed to the toppy.
I'll be your best friend forever. And I'll take care of you always.
Mouse, Art Spiegelman.
It's funny because most people think of comic book as meaning simplified and simple, and my whole notion is that it's a medium that allows for a great deal of complexity.
First published in Raw magazine from 1980 to 1991, the last year saw Mouse released as a collection. It took the literary world by storm, as Spiegelman's work became the first graphic novel to win a Pulitzer Prize. The plot involves Spiegelman talking to his father about his experience in Germany during World War II, with Jews shown as mice and German soldiers as cats. In 2022, the McMinn County School Board in Tennessee voted to remove the book from its libraries, citing the use of rough language and nudity as the reason.
If your problem with discussions about the Holocaust are bad words and nudity, I'm just not sure you're getting the point.
I agree, which is why I'm still trying to go, how did this exactly happen?
If the members wanted Mouse to be forgotten, they caused the opposite. Alongside activist groups handing out copies, purchases of Mouse sent it to #1 on Amazon's books and graphic novels charts.
A store that normally sells video games, board games, and comic books was surprised when a famous actor donated copies of the graphic novel Mouse. What was even more surprising? How quickly they ran out of them.
The Handmaid's Tale, Margaret Atwood.
Oh, well, the rule that I set myself for The Handmaid's Tale was that nothing goes in this that doesn't have a precedent somewhere in history or in real life right now.
As one of the most important modern writers around, Atwood's work often warns readers about societal changes on the horizon. However, others seemingly don't want you to hear her warning. Atwood's 1985 novel The Handmaid's Tale has been one of the most challenged books in the U.S.
No, you don't write those books because you hope those things will happen. You write those books because you think they might happen, but you would rather they didn't.
Often citing its explicit and emotional content, the work has been banned from schools in Florida, Missouri, and several other states, prompting Atwood to dramatically release an unburnable version in 2022. This isn't the only book by the Canadian author to draw ire in the States. Oryx and Crake has also been prohibited in school libraries, including in Virginia and Texas for its sensitive material.
I was just wondering if you could translate something for me. I think it's Latin. Nolite de bastardes carborundorum.
Where'd you hear that?
Does it mean something?
Ecstasy and the Hays Code. Made in Czechoslovakia, the erotic drama Ecstasy involves the main character leaving her uninterested husband and finding a new, younger lover. It also featured some brief nudity.
The girl's mammaries, which are quite large and prominent, are shockingly uncovered. For this reason, I have concluded the picture appeals only to prurient interest and should be denied the Motion Picture Association seal of approval.
The U.S. distributor tried to get into the country in 1935, only for it to be blocked by the Customs Service. It didn't help that the Catholic Legion of Decency condemned it.
The Legion had something called the Legion Pledge, and you have 20 million Catholics at Mass and at Knights of Columbus meetings would stand up, raise their hand, and pledge on their immortal soul that they would not attend motion pictures that the church deemed unworthy and unholy.
The distributor then lobbied the Hays Code staff for 10 months to let it be shown. Eventually, it was allowed with heavy edits in 1936. The Hays Code, also known as the Motion Picture Production Code, was the moral censor of the film industry. The policy came into effect on films released on or after July 1st, 1934, and lasted for nearly 30 years.
Since the studios could no longer control what was shown, it opened up the floodgates for independent and European films, neither of which needed to abide by the code. The PCA quietly existed until 1967, when the Motion Picture Association of America took over, and American film switched over to a rating system.
Betty Boop.
Made of pen and ink, she can win you with a wink. Ain't she cute? Sweet Betty.
After her debut in 1930, Betty became one of the most beloved cartoon characters in history. With her large head, sultry attitude, and jazz-age flappers attire, she was soon starring in many animated shorts from the Fleischer Studios. Yet upon the introduction of the Hays Code, everything changed.
Hello? Hello? Boop-boopy-doo? Boop-boopy-doo? Is there anyone here?
In the mid-1930s, Betty underwent a metamorphosis. Gone were the flapper dresses and scandalous clothing. Instead, Betty appeared as more of a homebody, even mothering children while wearing longer, less form-fitting clothing. Even her winking and shaking hips were too much for the code, forcing her emotes' removal. This saw a decline in Betty's popularity, as other cartoon characters who hadn't had a drastic change took off.
All by myself in the morning. All by myself in the night.
Slaughterhouse-Five, Kurt Vonnegut.
It's time for me to be dead for a little while, and then live again.
With Vonnegut having been an imprisoned soldier during World War II, he used his experience to write Slaughterhouse-Five, which explored the war and PTSD with a dash of science fiction. However, this important book wasn't safe from the US censors.
How long will they keep us here?
I don't know.
You are here, you have always been here, and you will always be here.
In 1973, after a teacher wanted to read the book to their students, the principal literally shoved copies of it into the school's lit furnace. Even in more recent years, Slaughterhouse-Five has been banned in schools in Tennessee and Texas. Another work whose censors didn't understand the irony of restricting it was George Orwell's 1984. The novel, which explores totalitarianism, was one of many prohibited in Iowa schools in 2023. However, in 2025, the ban was blocked by a judge for being unconstitutional.
How do we make as strong a system as possible that will kind of hold up against any bad weather that we encounter?
And I guess we all didn't think that we were responsible for building the system, but I think the moment we're in tells us that we are.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You'll have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Removing mentions of slavery from the Smithsonian.
President Trump is ordering a review of America's museums in an attempt to get rid of exhibits he doesn't like. He's specifically targeting the world's largest museum complex.
The Smithsonian Institution is one of the most respected educational and research facilities in the U.S. As such, you really need them not to shy away from being honest about the country's history, no matter how deplorable. In 2025, Donald Trump wanted to change that.
The president's latest complaints about exhibits on slavery come as the administration tries to overhaul how American history is taught by criticizing or even threatening to withhold funding from schools that offer curricula like the impacts of slavery.
The president issued an executive order that allowed his administration to look at the Smithsonian's exhibitions to review how it has displayed slavery, which was too woke for them for showing how bad slavery was. This brings to mind another instance of government interference at Idaho's Lewis Clark State College in 2023. With the school hosting an event on medical care, administrators removed art that showcased reproductive rights, citing the state legislature's opposition to public funds being used towards terminations.
It's an attempt to silence people's perspectives, and it doesn't allow people to create their own opinions about their own life. And I feel like because it violates free speech, there was a potential there to take a stance against this law.
Is censorship always bad when it comes to media, art, and entertainment? Or are there justified uses? Let us know below.